Hey everybody, welcome back to Comic Crow, and here's a headline I don't think anyone is surprised by. Report: the Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios to educate actors in order to placate communist China. Again, I don't think that headline shocks anyone. I'll handle this two ways. One, business side. Disney is 100% interested in pushing all of their movies into the China market, which is a massive, massive, massive profit base for them if they're able to get all of their films into the Chinese market. And there are only a few American films that they allow people to watch every single year, and I'm sure Disney wants every single one of those spots. Now, the thing about communist China, you cannot criticize them. You cannot make fun of them. You cannot do anything that will offend them, or they'll pull your movie. And see, because of this, you basically have Disney coming in and they want to educate all of their actors on how to shut their mouths and be super nice. That way China lets them show their films there. I think for most people here in the United States, when they look at that, it is upsetting because, you know, the Communist Party in China has done some of the most evil and heinous things that you can imagine. We saw how they treated their own citizens during the COVID lockdowns, locking them indoors, refusing to let them go outside for food. Many people died inside of their apartments. We've seen what they've done with the Uyghur Muslims. In fact, Disney shot Mulan only about a mile or so out from one of their concentration camps. So in terms of business, it makes complete sense. That's why there's so many American companies that want to do business in China, where they have access to the super cheap child labor and or the free slave labor out of the Uyghur Muslim camps. Now, in terms of the social side of wanting to placate communist China, let's just be real. I think most people at Disney, especially on the higher end, they love the way that China runs things. They love that massive top-down control over everybody else. And it's something that I think they want to see replicated here in the United States. That's more of a secondary thing. Really, it's the business side of it. But let's read through this report, because this is absolutely disgusting. And if you ever wonder why there are so many people over here who can talk about social justice projects and actions and ways to improve the US, but then they will keep their mouth shut about China, it's because most of them work for companies that make massive profits in China, and they've been told to shut their mouths or they'll be cut. A new report claims that the Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios will begin educating their actors and executives in order to placate communist China to ensure the release of future films in the country. Yeah, just like I said, I haven't read through this article yet. I saw the headline and I knew it was for me. I know it's a terrible way of doing things, but I mean, let's be honest, this is not a surprise to anybody. The report comes from the Hollywood Reporter's Kim Masters and Alex Wiepren, as they covered an investor battle inside the Walt Disney Company, pitting current CEO Bob Iger against former Marvel executive Ike Perlmutter and hedge fund manager Nelson Peltz. Yeah, these all sound like awful people, who wants a seat on Disney's board. Amid the reports, Masters and Wiepren claim that future Marvel films will not feature any Chinese villains, but that the talent will be well schooled to watch their words. Yeah, the idea of not including any villains who are Chinese, of course not. Because, you know, these are American films that will be shown in China, and you cannot have Americans showing Chinese people as being bad or being evil. The only ones who can be bad or evil are the non-Chinese. That is how it works in communist China. This report comes after the Walt Disney Company's official Chinese social media accounts announced that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania secured theatrical releases in China. The Hollywood Reporter's Patrick Bresky report on January 17th, Marvel shared the surprise news Tuesday over its official Chinese social media accounts. The two titles will be the very first movies in Marvel's Phase 4 to screen in China, as the last approved theatrical release from the studio were Spider-Man: Far From Home and Avengers: Endgame, way back in early to mid-2019. I want to say there was also the Shang-Chi film, and a lot of people said that this was pandering to a Chinese market. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that, but it never secured a theatrical release in China. The reason why is because you had a Chinese American who at the end of the film wants to stay in the United States. That is something that China does not approve of. So for that one reason, they killed the film. And so the article actually features a comment by Yellow Flash. What a loser move this is. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was always Disney that does shit. Disney's always willing to step back. This is all about making as much money as possible. And I would rather these companies do not to do this and not bend the knee to this country because they don't really like us. I mean, it goes beyond just not really liking us. China has made active attempts at interfering in what happens in the United States and trying to socially engineer different conversations in the United States for the purpose of weakening us. I mean, we can also talk about how American companies are 100% willing to sell out to China. I've already kind of mentioned that. But yeah, China does not like the United States. China is still an emerging world power. And, because America sits at the very top because of the petrodollar, China is really seeking to kind of put a stop to that and reposition themselves right at the top over the United States. That is their end game. I think most people kind of understand that who pay attention to what's going on. The way that our media is being controlled in order to appease not even the people of China, okay, but to appease the Communist Party in China. And making our movies less patriotic or changing things to make China happy just seems kind of backwards to me. Yeah, no, again, the reason why most of this is being done is because China has incredibly different values to the United States, and they want their values enforced. Now, in terms of the things like what they did with Shang-Chi, pulling the film, because, at the end of it, Shang-Chi chooses to stay in the United States, that is about American patriotism. That is about wanting to paint America in the worst possible light. No one would ever want to live in America. You want to live in China. China's best. China go. China number one. It seems kind of wrong, but Disney's been morally bankrupt for a long time. Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, 100%. I think Yellow Flash summed that up pretty well. Yellow Flash would also suggest the actors will act similar to John Cena did when he groveled to the Chinese and apologized to them when he referred to Taiwan as a country during a promotional event for Fast and Furious 9. Yeah, again, I don't think that's John Cena. I think that is the people in charge of the Fast and Furious franchise coming to him and saying, hey, do you want to keep your role or not? And so John Cena, who, big old macho man, says, please, I want money. Give me money. Shove it right up my ass. I need it. I need the money. It's becoming an embarrassment. And see, here's the thing. If these big name actors and celebrities actually stood for any of the things that they claim they stand for, like fucking Mark Ruffalo and everything, then they would all band together and they would all say absolutely not. But they don't. They absolutely do not. And if anything, their fans don't give a shit. If China controls the media, they care more about the issues here in the United States, like, I don't know, trans people in bathrooms, hate speech, definitely not the massive inflation. While doing an interview on the Taiwanese broadcasting network TVBS to promote the film, Cena stated that Taiwan will be the first country to watch the film. He would later issue an apology in Mandarin. Yeah, oh god, that was embarrassing. Yeah, he did it in Mandarin. What a bitch. A translation to Cena's apology was done by South China Morning Post. He stated, "Hi China, I'm John Cena. I'm in the middle of Fast and Furious 9 promotions. I'm doing a lot of interviews. I made a mistake in one of my interviews." I can't. The groveling and the little bitching. Look, this is a serious problem. And when I say it's a serious problem, you might be going like, oh, this is just movies. No, this is our media and this is our entertainment. And it's being controlled by essentially the Chinese Communist Party stepping in and telling them what people in America are allowed to watch if you want to show your film in China. If Disney wants to do garbage like this, shoot 2 films. I'm not kidding. Shoot the film and then edit certain things around so that one can be shown in China and that you stop fucking the media here in the United States. But that's not the end game. The end game is that one world government, and I guarantee China will be sitting right at the fucking top.